Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And it's a wonderful day for the Pirate Broadcast, and we have a special guest today. As you know, interesting people doing interesting things. And how are you, Dr. A? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited.
Well, you've been on LinkedIn Live and you've been broadcasting for some time now, and you've got several initiatives going out there, and you've got some amazing content. And I want to talk a little bit about your journey, because you've been a professor. And now you have a huge initiative going on, and I want to have you share that with the pirate community here, and talk about what you see taking place. Because right now, I believe that now is the time to expand our skills and our understanding and things of what we want to pay attention to and what we want to pay, what we want to share. So I'd love to get your perspective on that and kind of share with the audience, and also, who are you and why are you here? A little bit about who you are. So,
yeah, definitely. So my name is I, and I'm the founder of Classroom Without Walls, which is an alternative school. So I taught in higher education, for 10 plus years, and I officially resigned last year and decided to make a very audacious decision, which is to build my own school. So I resigned last year in summer and started on this journey to become a full-time entrepreneur. And hey, Vicky, and to build my own school. And so the trigger for that was after teaching in the classroom for quite a few years, and I realized the traditional educational model was not preparing our students for the future. It's actually hurting our children in terms of their future. Imagination decreases, creativity decreases, and the drive to learn also decreases, because we do reward, we do punishment. And if we do that on a regular basis for so many years, we are slowly killing our children's intrinsic desire to learn, to grow, to thrive. So those are just some quick examples, and I realized the model was broken, and I really struggled. I tried to teach classes differently. I embarked on a journey. I was like, do you want to be part of the solution, or you want to be part of the problem, right? Perpetuating the system or building a new one. And I'm like, as a brave person, and I want to be part of the solution. So I decided, I asked myself, what if? So what if I build a better model? And so that's kind of really how I resigned and why I resigned, and to really be on this journey and to create a better learning environment for the next generation. That is my why. I'm slowly figuring this out. Last year, I had my very first program. We had a blast. So seeing the transformation in the students who joined my program last year, like 10 days, they transformed. I was like, wow, learning is fun and can have so much potential, can make so much impact on a person. That has given me so much hope. And I'm restarting a new program, which is 3 months. I'm actually starting on Monday with students and professionals to really accelerate their life and help them be prepared for life and for their careers and for the future by teaching them what schools are not teaching them. So that's kind of my journey and my story.
Fantastic. And congratulations for launching another program on Monday. I'm often fascinated about how you evolved here, because you must have had an inspirational teacher, in your career and growing up in some place, that planted that seed that you could imagine a different outcome from education. Because
that's a great question. That's such a great question. I think for me, was not really. I think there was one good teacher in my like 3 decades. One, she really believed in me, and that was like in middle school. But I think for me too, the trigger for me was really desperation, like compassion for the students, and desperation. Prior to my resignation, every single semester I cried. I literally cried. I had so many pictures of me crying with my students and for my students. And most people, we chose to become a teacher because we wanted to see the spark in our students' eyes, right? They learn for the sake of learning. They're like, Dr. I, teach me more. This is so fun. I don't see anything like that. And so what I got from my students was, Dr. I, will this be on the exam? Dr. I, if I go to your event, what can I get? How many points? Dr. I, everything's like score, GPA, A, B, C. I got so tired of that. Nobody asked me, hey, let's talk about this for the sake of intellectual discussion, for the sake of learning. And to me, that is the reason I became a teacher. And I don't have that, right? Every time I cancel the class, this is not just my class, like across the board. When class is canceled, students like, hooray, like so happy. But like when you think about it, they paid to be in the class. I was always shocked. Like I was like, why you guys are so excited? Do you know your parents actually paid thousands of dollars for you to be in the classroom? Yeah. And so I really lost interest in teaching because this was not the profession that I had envisioned in my mind that I got myself into. I was really miserable. So, and then also lots of compassion for the students, like students, they came to me, and the good students, the bad students, they literally cry like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And I think I'm a caring person. So maybe that's why they came to me. And they get just lost. I don't know what to do. I'm depressed, like clinically depressed. I'm depressed. I have no sense of direction. I have no purpose. I don't know what to do. So when you ask me what was my trigger was really not because of a good teacher, which I did have in middle school, but really because of the compassion for the students. What can I do? And a large part was desperation. This is not working. And I didn't enjoy teaching. The students, they were miserable. I was also miserable. All of us, we were miserable. Like, what can I do? I don't want to spend the rest of my life perpetuating the status quo. And the only way for me is to either make teeny tiny changes within the system or build a new one. So I decided to just kind of say goodbye to that and build a new one. So that was really my trigger and motivation.
So on this journey, one of the things that I've discovered, it's kind of disturbing to think how many people after they leave, high school or college or any kind of education, that's probably the last book they'll read in their entire life. And it's like, I cannot, why would you not learn that? Why would you not continue to learn? Because for me, learning is life. It's like, okay, I want to learn something every day. I want to learn something new. I want to discover something new. And that idea and that concept is foreign to some people. So how do we plant the seed in the ones that have been discouraged by the numbers and the statistics and the social pressure of performing a certain level? Because it's not the right model, in my opinion, and it's not something that we should be teaching, because creativity is a lifetime goal. And it's really our ability to create and continue to create and evolve.
100%. I see myself as a lifelong student, lifelong learner, but I totally got what you were saying. And the reason is, like, even for me, after I got my PhD, you know what we call that? A terminal degree. So when you have a terminal degree, and it means like the end of learning, I literally stopped learning. I was like, oh my God, I'm at the top. There's no more degrees for me to earn. So that really stopped me from learning, from pursuing, from growing myself. And I think for many students, we kind of instill that message into them, right? And graduation, like on graduation day, I have been to so many graduation days, and they throw away their hat, like some they will throw away their books, they will burn.
Done.
They will burn. They will literally like fire, burn their books. They are like over. Learning is over. I think that is kind of the message the system is sending to the students. So to really stop that, we have to start at a much, much, much younger age. Because today's information is tomorrow's misinformation. When we send a kid to a school, they are not learning. Their job is not to learn the content. Because by the time they graduate, the content is going to be outdated. So our job as a teacher, as a parent, is to train our students how to learn, how to unlearn, and how to relearn. So this is something that I start to implement in my own children homeschooling. I don't teach. What I do is I show up as a facilitator, as a coach, and they will figure things out and learn. Yeah. So right now, my older son, 8 years old, he started selling on eBay. And as he was doing that, he was practicing research skills, communication skills, and math, right? And he didn't enjoy doing the workbook. I agree, it is so boring. Like, you don't really see any relevance because learning has to be personal. Yeah. What is in it for me? Why do I have to learn this? When the learning is personal, and they will go. So I think, to really instill that lifelong learning, the concept of becoming a lifelong student, our job is not to teach our children, hey, lecture on that. You need to learn all the time. That is not working. What we need to do is to really help them, inspire them to discover their interests. What are they interested in learning? To practice, we call this the pedagogy of listening, to really listen. Okay, my children or my students, they are really into podcasts. Help them discover that. Once the heart is ready, they are unstoppable. They will want to learn. They want to learn. You have this podcast, you have this live streaming, you love doing this, right? So you are on this mission. Every day I want to learn what is new with LinkedIn, what is new with StreamYard. I want to learn. Like, I'm the same because I love this. So if you ask me to fix like a computer, become an IT person, I'm not interested in that. I'm not going to engage in lifelong learning, right? So for our children, it's to really help them discover what is their purpose in life, what is their calling. Maybe not the long term for the younger kids, but like for them, like my son, right? He used to struggle getting up early in the morning, like go to school, like, oh my God, I can't. But today, like, he literally jump out of bed to start working on his YouTube channel. He's really into Minecraft. He wants to teach other people how to play Minecraft. I didn't push him. I didn't say, hey, Aiden, time to get up. He was up. And,
he's already up.
Yeah, like
because he's passionate about it.
Exactly.
Because so he's found
it. Exactly. That's the very first step.
Yeah. I want to mention this because it's top of mind for me right now is that there's a piece of it that has to be, I think, curiosity. Because curiosity is a spark for innovation and, discovery and research. And it's like, oh, I want an answer to this. Why does this work? How does this work? And I think that's a really big piece of the puzzle, that if we can get people to be curious, the symptom of that is learning, right? And exactly. So I don't know how that plays into what you're doing or how it's impacted your life, but
oh, it's so true. And so true. Einstein, he said that it's a miracle that curiosity survived formal education. So I really love that quote, right? Like, it really shows you, because when you go to a school and there is a multiple choice, there's one answer to every question. But in real life, if you do that all the time, how can you think outside the box? So at my school, we only do project-based learning. There's no grades. There's no I'm my boss. I decide how to run the class. So every lesson is taught through a project. I ask my students, for example, to do a live streaming interview. I said, they are doing the live streaming interview. Guess what? They're learning communication. They're learning adaptability. They're learning research. that practice active listening, they are learning so many skills. So that's what we do, and then be curious. Like as they work on a specific project, they are learning so many different skills as opposed to I'm taking a class on communication, I'm taking a class on research, I'm taking a class on math. But we do a project, and that project involves multiple aspects of skills. That's how we should show up in the 21st century, right? Like we work on project. We don't just like I only do this. No, we need a multitude of skills and talents to work on just one project. Yeah, so that's how.
And the beautiful thing about that is that the connections between those skill sets are now all of a sudden planted in the minds of the learner. It's like, oh, I see the relationship between these skills, and that's how it applies. Because how many times have you taken a class and saying, I'll never use this, and then you use it because you're using it with something else, right?
Exactly. And like most students, most people think, I talk about this. There's a model. I don't know if you want me to be too technical, but there's a very common model. I think everyone can benefit from this. It's called 70-20-10. So the model is really well known in learning and development. So what that model means is that for any transformation to happen in students, in adults, in professionals, in leaders, 10% of that transformation comes from formal learning, like traditional learning, like a textbook, taking class or watching a live show. That's only 10%, my friends. That's only 10%. And 20% of that transformation comes from social, working with a coach, like peer-to-peer discussion, the social aspect of learning. And guess what? 70% of that transformation comes from application. Learning in real life.
70%.
70%. This model is really well known. But guess what? Most schools, and even parents, many of you are probably also guilty of this. When you ask your kids when they come back home, hey, what's the score? That's the question we ask. Then we're sending a message to our children. That's the only thing I care about. And that's only 10%. You are missing 20%. You're also missing 70%. So at my school, we focus on the 70%. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that the big tragedy in a lot of school organizations right now is the fact that they're teaching to pass a test so their school can get grades. The school can get their grade for passing students through the school so they can get funding.
You nailed it. Yes. I recently had a conversation with one of my friends who is actually a high school teacher, and he teaches math. And he told me, he said, it's ridiculous. Everyone's talking about improving like academic performance. It was like so much pressure on him to improve the overall score. And now you're comparing all those kids in the US with children in China, like, I look at their score. I mean, I came from that background. I was so damaged by that way of teaching, only focused on academic background. It's really hurting our children's imagination, risk-taking, and all those things. There's another, I don't know if you want to share, but there's another very famous study, and also reflect on our creativity. You were talking about creativity. So what they did is a group of researchers, they want to study like how creative our children are over time as they become older. So they ask those children like paper clips, like, hey kids, how many ways can you think of using a paper clip? Yeah. And guess what? Do you know this? Like the younger children, like 3 years old, 4 years old, they scored 98% genius, like super genius level, right? Amazing, almost 100%. And 5 years later, the same group of children, guess what? Dropped to 50%. 50. That's like when they're about like kind of young teenagers. And another 5 years later, continue to drop. And by the time they become like my age, like 30, 40, like adults, guess what? 2%.
Oh, that's tragic. So what we're doing is we're reducing the creativity that we are used to being born with.
Exactly.
And by the time you get to adult, you have only 2% of your creativity left. So.
Exactly, and that's why I know some of my friends, they focus on training like creativity. You know what they do? They teach you how to play, but it's so funny. Now people are spending like thousands of dollars, the corporate, and learning how to play. But when you just look at a 2 years old, they know how to play. We stopped that, and now we have to spend money to learn how to play, which is really sad. I hope if anyone watching this right now or on replay, if you have children, really try to preserve that. Don't make everything become so outcome driven, especially in terms of A or B or C. Guess what? There's another book. A students work for C students, B students work for the government. And like academic performance, at my school, we have an iceberg model. It's only the tip of the iceberg to prepare our children for the future. There are a lot more that you need to really worry about if you want your children to succeed in life.
So you have this initiative going on, and you have this passion and this spark to really change a lot of lives. How can others surround you and support you, and how is this initiative going to be allowed to grow? Are you getting pushback by some people and support by other people? How does that process work for you?
It's interesting that you asked this question. So the pushback I got is mainly from people who are still in the traditional system. Like right after I got started on this journey, one of my dear friends, she bullied me online and blocked me and kicked me out of like a group of mainly educators. I mean, like, it is what it is. They don't want to hear my message, maybe, or maybe I'm too radical. I don't know. I don't care. Those people are just not in my network. So I do have people like you, like Vicky and many parents, who think, this model is broken. In fact, a few weeks ago, I interviewed a very well-known disruptive educator, and he came to my show to talk about his new book. Why are you still sending your children to school? So that's the group of people I held with, and I'm really happy. And so we support each other, and I see this as part of the movement. Not so much anti-school, but really anti the system, anti the old system of learning. You think everything happens inside the walls, and that's why I'm like breaking outside the classroom. So like there are, as more and more people realizing the traditional educational model is not working, there are so many alternative schools. I'm shocked by how many there are. I'm just one of the many. There are actually a lot. So there are a lot. So this is the tribe that I held with. I invite them to be on my show. For those of you, if you want to support, you definitely come to my show. I have one focuses on social media marketing. Actually, Neil Patel is coming to my show on the coming Wednesday. Really excited, talking about SEO. And I have another show dedicated to education, talking about education, discuss, debate, and disrupt education. And that show is on Friday, which is tomorrow. I have the parents of a 7-figure entrepreneur to come to the show to share with us how they raised a 7-figure, like 20-year-old entrepreneur. So really amazing. So that show is good. Yeah,
you know who's an advocate for change in education is Seth Godin too.
He has come to my show. He actually inspired me to launch this What is School For show. So I love.
I was just going to say, I think you're in alignment with some of the things that he's mentioned on occasion.
I mean, exactly. He said there's no good textbook on marketing. Like when I listen to that, I'm like, I agree. When I reach out to him, he's like, I love your message. Let me get on your show. So it's really not hard for me to book him to be on my show. And it took like 10 minutes. I sent him an email. 10 minutes later, he said, yes, let's do this, which was very stressful for me because he wanted to do it like 3 days later. I feel like I needed 3 weeks to be prepared, right? It was a great interview, and he inspired me.
I just think it's amazing, and I just love what you're doing, and I love your energy, and what I teach a lot of times is that, you are the media, you are the message, you have the ability to produce and promote shows and share your gifts and ideas. And that's what I think a lot of kids, young adults especially, need to understand, is that it's not about the numbers. It's not about Instagram famous. It's about more about how we can build relationships. How can we learn and get creative with what we have in front of us? The tools are amazing these days. There's so much technology and everything that's going on around us. And if you pay attention to what you have available in your hands right now, the creative process can emerge in so many different directions. And I just think it's an opportunity to share this and broadcast this to wherever we can. So thank you for
Thank
sharing your
you.
message.
Totally. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's yeah, and you've been streaming for longer than I have. You've been on for a while now. When
Yeah,
did
I
you get on?
started. I think I started in 2017
Okay.
for like 3 years. Yeah, yeah. So again, when I started, it was really out of my compassion for the students. I was like, you guys need to learn not only from me, who is just this academic. You also need to learn from practitioners, because I was teaching PR, public relations, communication, and social media classes. And I was like, you need to learn from the professionals who are actually practicing this on a daily basis. And
Yeah.
so out of that intention to be a better teacher, to serve my students better, I started this show. And that's the social media marketing show, to
Yeah.
really interview professionals. And my students, they were able to network with so many amazing people. And I loved seeing that. And so that's how I got started. Yeah.
Well, you're only one conversation away from changing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really. And social media has offered the opportunity for us to actually have conversations with people around the world. If you want to learn about a subject or you're curious about a subject, you can connect with somebody that's an authority in that arena, and you can actually ask them questions and you can have conversations with people. People are willing to help. People are willing to have conversations like this all the time if you just take the initiative to reach out and get started. So I love
Yeah.
the fact you had his name's, is it Marvel?
Um,
He's he left college when he found out his business teacher didn't actually run a business.
Oh yeah, I just interviewed Marcin yesterday.
Yeah.
Marcin, it's really funny, this story. Yeah, he asked me.
Yeah.
So after this class, he took a business school class on business. So after the class, and he walked up to the professor, very innocent, genuinely.
Just curious. It's like,
Yeah,
what business do you run?
what business do you run, professor? And the professor was like, what do you mean? I know this book. It's like, what is the business that this book is based on? And the professor got really pissed off. And it was really interesting. He actually shared. So when he went back home, and his mom asked him, hey, Marcin, what did you learn today? And he said, Mom, I learned professors do not have to practice what they teach in the classroom.
Yeah.
It hurts, right? If you are a teacher, like, wow, that is so true. Why is it that? Why that has to be disrupted? Yeah, but it's so funny. And he never went back to that class.
Yeah, he didn't venture back into class. He went on to create $1 million companies.
Exactly. And he has quite a few. He built and scaled quite a few multi-million-dollar companies and sold them. And so we discussed how to build, scale, and sell companies. It was really incredible. And my husband actually said that it's one of the best interviews, because you can really hear like everything he shared. He has done this. It's very in-depth, very, very thorough. Like I literally, after hosting 200 episodes, I can tell he actually has done this himself. Now it's just like fluff. There's like no fluff. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I loved about it, is the fact that is the kind of information that is available to all of us right now. And it's insane that we're not taking advantage of it. I mean, YouTube has more content in that, the information is free if you want to go find it. The curiosity has to be inside of you. You have to have that spark of curiosity to go out and that's what we need to foster, is the curiosity to go back and become a learning individual, somebody that really wants to go out and learn something new. So I applaud you. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Oh, that means so much to me. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that you've got a busy day going on. We've got all kinds of people in here: Vicky, Wendy, Angie. All of these individuals that are just really a supportive community. And thank you for being a pirate now. You're now officially a pirate, so I can learn from you. I can continue to learn from you, and we can collaborate on maybe some future opportunities when you got something to share. And I'd love to be able to help you promote your ideas and your gifts, and expand your community out as far as it can go. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Ross. I'm really honored, and thank you everyone for joining us live.
Yeah, and thank you so much for joining another episode of the Pirate Broadcast. Thank you for being in the pirate community. And as always, kindness is cool, smiles are free, and you enjoy the day. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.